There's no undies on the head, fellas. Kirkes and Frimpong have been so narrow in here like this. I would love it if he scored. It's going to be raucous. Right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Golden Sky. I'm Tom, and today we have the return of the match previews because the Premier League is back. Well, in an hour and 10 minutes it is. Arsenal kick us off at the time of recording in an hour and 10 minutes. I will be watching once I have recorded this. I'm very excited. And that means, of course, the content around Liverpool games is back. Friday previews, ratings after the games, and of course the tactical analysis videos after the games have been played, which you all enjoyed last season. We're back in action. I am very excited. Today it is the match preview for Liverpool v Newcastle, of course. We're going to go through everything you could possibly need to know about that fixture, our first of the season, and one I am very excited to watch. Because we are currently, and we have been for a while, in transfer hell. Now, I will start the preview off quickly by talking about transfers before we get into the board and before we talk about predicted lineups and all that jazz and Newcastle and Liverpool. Let's talk about some transfers just quickly because there's a lot going on and I don't have time to make videos on everything. So pick your poison. But I will just talk quickly about the business for Liverpool. So the big news at the minute is that we are bidding for Yankuba Minter from Brighton. That is... I wouldn't say a full surprise. He was briefed as a target or an alternative target to Barcola months ago. Now, it's clear to me the club does not see him that way. I'll give you my thoughts on Barcola really quickly. I am 99% sure we are going to sign Bradley Barcola. And I think that will go on until maybe deadline day. But I'm 99% sure we will sign him. I am also sure, 99%, that we are going to sign another winger on top of that. Now, that looks like it's going to be Yankuba Minter at the minute. We have bid £60 million today. Our second bid, the £50 million bid, was yesterday, by all accounts, and that was rejected. Both bids have been rejected. And apparently they want £65 million up front and a package to take them to £70 million, which is just a bit much, if you ask me. Minter is okay. Like, that's really the level I'd say he's at. He's just sound. Like, he's just, yeah, Minter, you know? 3 goals last season, I think, or 4 maybe in the Prem. Not a lot. And if you ask me if I'd prefer Minter or Mbai, my answer is Mbai every day of the week. I think he's got a higher ceiling. I think his output looks like it has potential to be better. I think his end product looks better. He has a better shot on him. He looks more explosive. He's 4 years younger. He will be homegrown eventually. I think he's a much higher prospect than Minter. So I don't know. I don't really know what I make of it. Minter doesn't really get me off my seat. I'm not here with like my top off and my undies on my head for Yankuba Minter. I'm not. There's no undies on the head, fellas. The undies are firmly on my legs right now for Minter, but it would be a good signing. At least he's a right winger. At least he's played in the Prem a lot. At least he's fast. He works hard. If we sign him, I'll do a video on him. That's my promise to you all. Same with Barcola, maybe. You all know him more. So I don't really know. I don't really know what to make of it. I think we'll end up with 2 wingers. I think we may sell Gakpo and then we might get a third. I really don't know. Richard Hughes... This guy, this fella is operating like he's got shit running down his legs. I'm telling you, this guy, he has shat the bed all summer long. I don't know what he's doing. He's just doing shit angels on his bed. Get up and sign somebody. Get out of the shit, Ricky lad, please. I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it, but that's my 2 cents. And the last thing, before we get into the meat and potato of this video today, before I recorded this, I just went to a home shop near me to pick up some stuff that I'd bought. And randomly in the shop, I was approached by a fella by the name of Sadet, right? This guy just came up to me and just started talking to me like he knew me, right? He was asking me all sorts of questions. He was asking me, where do I see myself in 5 years? What do I do for work? What do I do when I'm outside of work? Am I doing that for financial gain? How do I separate myself from my peers? I was like, what is going on in it? He was a lovely fella. And then he told me he was 40. This guy could have been 30 years old. Easily, this guy. He was flattered when I told him that as well. I thought he was going to sell me something. He didn't. He just wanted to chat with me. He told me I was really nice. I said, thank you. You're really nice as well, my friend. And then he said, I'm going to tell you something that I don't tell people a lot. I like to speak to people, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking that he's definitely going to sell me something now, this guy. And then he whispers to me, and this is genuinely true. He whispers to me, I'm a vampire. And for a split second, I genuinely believed this guy might be a vampire. Like, I'm being so serious. I was like, is he? Am I about to? I genuinely, honest to God, hand on my heart, swear to Divock thought this guy might be about to kidnap me and bite me and make me a vampire. That's why he looked so young. That's why he was being so friendly. It was just a very strange but very wholesome interaction. He just chatted to me for a while. Then what he actually told me, he was joking about the vampire thing. And then he told me that he basically just wanted to tell me he's a mental health nurse and he plans to retire when he's 45. He invests in all these assets and he just likes to speak to people and see if they're doing the same thing. I thought, fair fucking play, Sadet, lad. So if Sadet's watching, he probably isn't. Oh, he did say he's a Liverpool fan, though, so he might be. I don't think he is, but he did say he's a Liverpool fan. We had a little handshake about that. We had many handshakes, actually, me and Sadet. So, if you're watching, mate, you were a top fella. Can we get some love for Sadet in the comments, please? Should we get into the preview? Let's get into the goddamn preview. Alright, so you guys know the drill by now on the previews. If you didn't watch any last year, we go through the predicted 11. First of all, so Liverpool, I have Alisson in the goal. I have Frimpong at right back. I have Jeremy Jacquet, Jezza Jacket with Van Dijk at centre backs. Milos Kerkez at left back. In the middle, I have Gravenberch and Soboslai. I have Rio and Gamoa on the right with Gakpo on the left. Florian Wirtz at number 10 and Alexander Isak up front. And I am, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm 100% confident that's going to be the team tomorrow. I'd bet money that that's going to be the team. I am pretty certain of it. So, what are the talking points from that team? Well, let's start at the back with Jezza Jacket, the best thing since sliced bread, the second coming of Jesus Christ himself. This guy has played 45 minutes of a friendly, and I'm his biggest fan in the whole world. I just want to hold his hand and knock around with him and just look at him for a while, gaze lovingly into his beautiful eyes, which, by the way, I would have to get a stepladder to look up because this guy's legs are 25 foot long. Like I said on the ratings at Como, Will the Stilt is playing centre-back for us now, and I think he's going to be preferred to Ronald Araujo in this game from the start. I think he's going to be first choice for us. Although, I do think we will see both Jacquet and Araujo in this game, regardless of who is picked first. Whether that is Araujo coming on at right back, perhaps if we have a lead, or maybe defending set pieces, we take Frimpong off to be a bit more defensively sound. That could happen. Or, more simply, if Jacquet just runs out of gas, which he very much could. This fella was fucked after the first 45 minutes against Como. He was knackered. He was cream crackered, whatever you want to say. He was not ready to play any longer than 45 minutes. Hopefully he's got a bit more in the tank now in this one. Next real talking point for me is Rio on the right. I don't think this is a massive surprise. We saw him on the right against Como, started the game, and then he also came on against Monaco on the right. I think it's clear he's our best option for right wing at the minute because he has to be in the team. I think that's obvious. He's too good now to not be in the team. Maybe not every week, sure. He is only 17 years old, but he will be back. He will be starting here, back at St. James's, where he scored that worldy goal in the last minute last year in our second game of the season. That was actually the peak of the entire season. So I think Rio is going to be the one on this right-hand side. Now, we may see Victor Munoz. Well, we will see Victor Munoz at a certain point in this game. And I think we'll see him for a good chunk of time. Now, that probably will be for Rio, which means Munoz will come on this right wing. But if it is for Gakpo, it would be interesting to see if Rio goes over there and Munoz is the one who comes out onto this right-hand side. That could also happen, but we'll see. I think Rio probably plays an hour, maybe 70 minutes in this one. I think he's looked tricky on the right. Now, Iraola keeps saying in the presser, he said it again today, I watched the presser, that he's very, very honest. Very, very honest, as he would say. Be very, very honest. I need wingers. Basically, that's what he's saying. This guy needs wingers. We have no wingers. And that's why Rio's starting on the right wing. We don't have much choice. Munoz might come on, Vicky M, and just run up and down the wing. That could be a good outlet, maybe, at the end. He's certainly got the legs to do so. Little Bellamy, Spanish Bellamy. We'll see. But Rio on the right is the start. And looking at the bench, we don't really have a lot of depth, really. When I'm thinking of the players we're going to have on there, so it is Munoz, it is Araujo, it is McAllister, and I don't think I'm missing anybody, but then I go into the likes of Trainioni is an option, Luis Kumas, Federico Chiesa, Harvey Elliott, and Kostas Tsimikas. And that's basically where we are. Leone's injured, Bradley's injured, Gomez is injured, I think. Obviously, Ekatike injured, and then there's no one else. So we are very, very light. Marmalade Village will, of course, be there, handing out marmalade to everybody. Like he's Paddington Bear. Does he have marmalade? I think that's his thing, right? Yeah. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That's a bit of a weakness for us. I think if we're chasing the game, our bench is significantly worse than if we're ahead in the game. Got better defensive options, I think, with Araujo. Maybe we haven't, actually. Maybe it's just Araujo. Midfield's okay. McAllister, Munoz. Basically got 3 subs that I really like. Munoz, Araujo, Maka. And then the others are just youngsters or shitters, really, aren't they? Let's call it like it is. So we'll see. But what is the tactical idea for us in this game? Well, if you haven't watched any of our pre-season, we do now play in a 4-2-3-1. This is Iraola's preferred setup. We saw this at Bournemouth all last season. The idea is to get crosses in and score goals. So let's bring the ball on. The idea, I won't move Newcastle around too much just yet, but the idea is get the ball out wide into these areas down here, sort of like this, and then whip the ball into the box where we're going to have Isak, hopefully, right in there, and Florian Wirtz in there as well. We saw already a couple opportunities where the ball wants to get squared in, and then Isak's going to be on the end, or Wirtz is coming in. Maybe you can knock it down for Isak. We saw that in the Como game, nearly scored a couple from that. We have scored some goals from crosses as well. Think of the Como goals that we did score. Frimpong's cross. Xhaka got the tap in as well. That's technically a cross. That's Gakpo being here, squaring the ball across, and Isak tapping the ball into the net. That's sort of the idea. But then there's also some direct, much more direct vertical play that we didn't really see last year. A lot of the time last year, we'd see our lads sort of all around, sort of, I won't move the defence, but on the halfway line, everyone's just kind of passing the ball around here, not really penetrating. We saw, think of the Monaco goal, Gravenberch plays the ball forward, into the front line. I think it was Isak laid it off, or somebody, maybe it might have been Szoboszlai. A little 1-2. Gravenberch goes in. We find Isak in these tight areas, and then he just finishes into the corner. That's the vertical play that we're talking about, much more direct. We're going to hopefully see some of that in this game. Let's just move those lads back. Now, what has been a bit of a difficulty in preseason, I think, for us, is how easy we've been to play through in the middle of the pitch. So if you've watched our games, it's been pretty clear that as teams play out and we try and press, teams have been able to really just play through the middle of us. So I think there's a big ask on Szoboszlai and on Gravenberch to really screen these passes better, especially with Newcastle's team, who we'll get onto in a minute. These two need to be much more disciplined, stop the ball going into the front men, maybe Visser coming off the striker. Off the ball, they need to be aware of what's around them. These two are both attack-minded players, more so than defensive-minded players, especially Szoboszlai. We need them to be disciplined, and that's not only discipline in position, but also in the press. We have certainly had a different type of press this season. It's been much more man-to-man, and if I just quickly try and set a team up as though Newcastle were taking the goal kick, we have been pressing in a 4-4-2. It's been very, very obvious. It's sort of been Isak here, Wirtz here, let's put it like this. And then it's been a 4-4-2. So we've had the midfielders matching up in the middle here. The defence has been really high, like this. And it hasn't been always man-to-man, but what has been interesting is the fullbacks have been man-to-man. So we've at times seen wingers coming in here like this, and Kirkes and Frimpong have been so narrow in here like this. And then we've had attacking fullbacks like Lewis Hall, for example, he's a great option, where our winger, Morrison, I think, of times, has been actually deeper than Frimpong at times in pre-season, because it's man-to-man. The midfielders are going right in the middle. We saw Kirkes pick the ball up here against Como, and he went on a run that ended up here. Now, that's the plan. It's a 4-4-2 off the ball, and it's pretty obvious. If I just put everyone sort of back in their positions, that's how we're going to line up. You will definitely see that on Sunday, a 4-4-2, almost a 4-2-4 at times. So, haven't really shown the ability ourselves that I've seen in pre-season, an improved one to play out from the back. I mean, when we've had the ball, a lot of the time last season, we really struggled to play out from the back. I mean, really struggled. And teams have pressed us high already in pre-season. And we haven't quite shown a slick sort of move, sort of idea maybe, that would equate to a new consistent method of getting out. What we have done a lot is move the ball out wide here and then try and hit Gakpo, or even just hit him in one fell swoop to use his height as an outlet. But we haven't really won the second balls, especially in the second halves of games. We have struggled a little bit. And that's the question. How fit are these lads for Liverpool? Can we sustain good play for 90 minutes? No, I pretty much don't think we can. So can we win the game in 60 minutes and maybe hold on from there? I think we can. I think we'll see. So I think what we will do is what we'll see in the game is we'll push for goals early on. We'll try and use our new pressing sort of system to catch Newcastle out. Maybe there's a few players in this team who are a little bit cold, a little bit nervy in the big atmosphere early doors in the game. Premier League nerves coming in for some of the newer lads. Maybe we can get onto them, nick the ball, don't quite understand the pace of the Premier League. Maybe we can use Iraiola's pressing intensity to nick us a few goals. So we'll see. An Isak goal would make my year. Let me tell you, I would love it if he scored. To use the words of Kevin Keegan himself, who is right there. I would love it if Isak scores. This is his return to St. James's. It's his first time playing Newcastle since the saga of last year. He is fully fit. I hope he gets off to a firing start. Imagine a brace. Oh, that would be unbelievable. Imagine a hattie. Do you remember last year when they wouldn't let him get an ice cream or have a barbecue at the ground? Do you remember the madness of his transfer last year? They were having family barbecues and Isak wasn't allowed to join them. It was mental last year. And he's back. He's going to get booed like fuck. I hope we can chant, Isak's right, you fucking shite, all game long. That would be beautiful. I hope he scores, and I just want to see the thumb out. That's all I want. The guns, that's all I want to see. That would make my whole year. It really would. Interesting things before we go on to Newcastle. Iraola has never won an opening day fixture in the Premier League. With Bournemouth, it was 2 draws and a loss, and the loss was to the mighty Reds last year. Arne Slot's tricky Reds. In also one of the moments of the season last year. But Liverpool are unbeaten in our first game of the season for 13 straight years. Isn't that one mad? We last lost 3-0 to West Brom in 2012. Zoltan Gera scored in that game, and I watched it on holiday, and I remember Zoltan Gera scoring a worldy volley. Hungarian fella, by the way. And I remember thinking, we are shit. I think Fabio Borini made his debut in that game. Maybe, don't quote me on that. But that is the longest run of any team. Chelsea have the record with 18 games unbeaten in a row for the first game of the season. So, promising. Signs looking good. We are performing well historically on the opening day. Let's talk a little bit about Newcastle then, as we got their team on the board. Now, predicted 11 for them is Hornacek in goal. He's a new signing. Dedic, Malik Chow, Botman and Lewis Hall making up the back four. Lewis Hall is fit, apparently, and has been training to play in this one. Livramento, not so. In the middle, I've got Jacob Ramsey and Bamba, another new lad. Ilanga and Barnes on the wings, and then I've got Visser, and I've gone with Asula up front. Now, this could be Voltemada in any of these two slots. He hasn't been amazing in pre-season, so I've gone Visser and I've gone Asula. I think that's what they'll go with in this one. Talking points from their team. Well, there's a lot of new lads, isn't there? There's a lot of new lads at Newcastle, and 3 of them I've got starting in this one. There could be more, to be honest, but one of them's the goalkeeper. Now, I don't know an awful lot about this fella. He's a 24-year-old lad they've signed from Braga. I don't know anything about him. I've never seen him play. I don't know if he's any good on the ball. I would love for us to test that early doors, just get right on him, like press the living shit out of him, make sure he's got his kecks on right, and see if we can force him into a mistake. He will be nervy, I have no doubt about that. So we'll see. Dedic is a fullback from Benfica. He looks quite decent. I have seen a bit of him. He's quite a decent fullback. Works really hard. Quite an intense player. I do quite like him. I think he'll be quite decent for Newcastle, even if he's a backup to Livramento, who I do think is a good player, but he's very injury prone. Bamba in the middle. This one's really interesting. He's 20 years old, this lad. Signed from the French league. And in fact, signed from Monaco, actually. And he's only played 25 pro games in his whole career, and Newcastle have just bought him. Now, I've had a look into him because I was interested to see who he really was. I had heard his name, but never really seen much of him. And with us playing Newcastle, I wanted to have a little look into their lads, familiarise myself a little bit. His numbers aren't really amazing. They don't jump off the page to me at all as sort of a wonder kid or someone who has a lot of promise. Now, I'm sure he does. He's a decent tackler, and his dual numbers are quite good, but not the best passer. Passing numbers were quite low in Ligue 1 last year, and I think we could really prey on that. If we can get pushed right up against him when he's getting the ball with his back to goal, maybe if Newcastle try and play, I think he could be a real trigger to try and force him when he's not used to the pace of the Premier League, to get at him, win the ball back, and try and score some goals off turnovers. Now, they do have another new lad on the left wing called Bazumana Traore. This fella played for Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga, where he did well last season. He got 9 assists or something like that and created the most chances or something like that in the Bundesliga. Very tricky winger. Looks like the most exciting of their new signings. But I think they will go with the experience in this first game of Barnes and Elanga. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going with. I think they might bring him on off the bench, maybe if they're trailing in the game. Barnes, with that experience, I just think they'll go with him. Now, they have a lot of injuries. Newcastle, this is also more talking points. Livramento out injured. Joel Linton out injured. Dan Burn has only played 45 minutes of pre-season in total. He's probably not going to play in this one. Lewis Miley, not ready either. And then I've gone Jacob Murphy and Voltemada on the bench, like I said. So a lot of lads that you do know from Newcastle not playing in this one. That's not all, though. Newcastle also have a new manager by the name of Matthias Jasler. Liverpool's first 6 fixtures this season are against teams with a brand new manager. Isn't that mental? Give your heads all a wobble. That's bananas. That's fully berserk is what that is. The first one is Matthias Jasler. He is 38 years old. He has managed RB Salzburg. He came up in the Red Bull sort of footballing universe. And then he spent 3 years at Al Ahly in the Saudi League. And that should be like an aha! That's why he's the manager of Newcastle moment for you all. Because Newcastle, as we all know, are Team Saudi Arabia in the Premier League. So that's why he's been appointed. Now, that's not to say he hasn't had success in Saudi Arabia. He actually won their version of the Champions League back-to-back years, which you might say, though, that's nothing. But he is playing against the other Saudi teams. So it's something, at least. He's shown some sort of pedigree. And he's obviously come up in the RB world. And that naturally creates a dynamic when you're trying to manage a team and set them up to play front foot football, very attack-minded, high-pressing, intensity. All the buzzwords that people like in today's day and age. You either basically play 2 ways nowadays in world football. That's either you play high-intensity, high-press football, or you play low block, sit back and try and counter-attack football. They're pretty much what everyone thinks. Every team can slot into that, really. No pun intended, Arna. Their pre-season wasn't great, Newcastle. They drew 1-1 with Gateshead. They lost 4-1 to Bristol City. That's shocking. 2-1 win against Valencia, a 3-1 loss against the Ev, and then a 2-1 loss against Leverkusen. So it hasn't been amazing. Now, you can't read into pre-season a lot, but they aren't probably coming into this with a lot of confidence. And when you couple that with the fact they've lost Bruno Guimaraes, they've lost Tonali, Livramento's out, Joe Linton's out, Gordon's gone. They're a significantly weaker side than the side we played at St James's on the second day of last season, where we did win. If you think of that midfield they had last year, I'm pretty sure when I made the preview, I would have said that's their strong point. Tonali, Joe Linton, Bruno. Looking at it now, Ramsey and Bamba, that is weak. You have to get at that if you're the Mighty Reds. You just have to exploit that. Now, they do have another new lad. What's his name? I can't remember his name. They've signed another new lad. I don't know anything about him, really. But he's another midfielder. I don't think they'll start him in this one. I think that's who they'll go with. And I think it's a massive weakness for them. I think Gordon's a massive loss. That pace on the counter-attack. Even if last year he went full kamikaze on Van Dijk and got himself sent off. Nice one, you big blue nose. But this is a good chance for us. It really is. Don't let them get gelled. Don't let them settle in. Don't let the new manager have any idea of what the Premier League is like. We have a new manager too, but at least he knows what the Prem is like. And also, he's Doc fucking Ock is what he is. So he knows the deal. It's a really interesting game, and it's set up to be an absolute cracker. A couple other bits before we move on to Super 6. There is going to be a Kevin Keegan tribute to start the game. That is going to be brilliant. That is going to be so, so good. And I think it's really cool and poetic that it's Liverpool v Newcastle on the first day of the season. The first real game competitively since the death of an absolute footballing legend, really, Keegan. An underrated player, I think, in footballing history, to be honest. Ballon d'Or winner. Like, a success everywhere he went. Really good manager as well. Obviously, he managed Newcastle in those iconic Liverpool 4-3 games. Pushed United all the way. Should have won a title or two, maybe, in that era as well. Very unlucky not to do so. They're going to be brilliant. It's going to add to the atmosphere. At that time of day, 4:30 kickoff, it's going to be raucous at St. James's with our fans up on top of Mount Kilimanjaro up there as well. And it's the first time Liverpool are starting a season without Mo Salah in almost a decade. And that means no Mo Salah goal, which had become a nailed-on thing, really, for Liverpool over the last, since Mo Salah had arrived at Liverpool, starting with Watford. So, who's going to score the first goal for us this season? Put your money where your mouth is, drop it in the comments. I'm going to say it's going to be Alexander Isak. He's going to score our first goal this season, and he's going to score it against Newcastle. You mark my words. Let's go and do Super 6 to finish off the preview. Let's do it. Well, would you look at this? Super 6 has got a new graphic. Wowee. And we're starting Everton v Palace. That's a really tough one to call straight away. I actually fancy Everton in this one, you know. I actually do. Palace a little weak in attack at the minute. I think 2 goals to the Ev is probably fair. Let's go 2-1, I reckon there. A standard 2-1 start the year. Forest leads. What do the pundits reckon on these? Carra goes 2-1 and he goes 1-1 there. I don't know. I kind of fancy Forest to score. I'll go 1-1 in that one. I kind of fancy Forest to score, maybe. Brentford Spurs. This is going to be a cracker, this one, by the way. It really is. Lots of people high on Spurs. I am not so high. I think they're going to take a bit of time to gel in. Oh, I'm going to go 2-2. I think it could be a real cracker, that one. City Bournemouth. This one is got to be a City win. Carra goes 3-0. I can see City scoring some goals here. I'm going to go 3-1. I think Bournemouth probably get 1. No clean sheets I've given at all yet. Brighton Villa. Villa have been decimated by injuries in this. What have we got? Most people think Villa will win. Now, this is interesting because Brighton did play on Thursday and they have the second leg of that tie. It's a European qualifying tie. But Villa had just been absolutely decimated. I think Brighton come away with a win. I'm going to actually go 2-0 Brighton win in that one. And then, of course, they put this one on. Oh, Liverpool, Newcastle. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think Newcastle score, but I'm going to say we score a couple of goals. I'm going to go with a 2-1 away win there, I think. We'll go 5th minute for the golden goal. And that is the first Super 6 of the season. Let's hope we win $1 million to start things off. All right then, guys, that is going to do it for today's match preview. Back with the Friday previews. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did, please do leave a like on it. We're trying to get to 40 likes on every single video this year. So let's hit that 40 like mark. Just go down and drop it a like below. Hype the video as well. You can do that 3 times. Subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 600 subscribers. So let's start that charge with the first game of the season. And podcast listeners, 5-star rating and reviews. Follow the show. You guys all know what to do. I'll be back on Sunday to do the first match ratings of the Premier League season. I cannot wait. I'm about to go and watch Arsenal going to be great. The Premier League is back, everybody, and I hope you all enjoy it. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll speak to you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Speak to you very soon. Goodbye.